Hi guys, Ren here and welcome to the workshop. Today is the most important unboxing of the year because look here. Yep, finally it's my time trial bike because it is a complete bike. Unfortunately the frame sets are still not available, so I decided to go for the full bike. This way arguably it's better value, and most importantly it was available right now, so I decided to go for it. So let's have a look. Here it is. So we have CRX 64 front wheel, then we have bike. Well, it's light, really light. There it goes. It's just like that. And we have a roll of disc, probably inside, and a lot, really a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Oh, now I have the frame unpacked and on the work stand in all its glory, and I can't really believe it because it's been 6-7 months almost since I first saw this on the pictures and ordered it without knowing anything, and man, it's just absolutely stunning. The paint job, beautiful, simple, just the most standard paint job you can imagine. Gloss black with white logos on there, no glitters, no nothing, no fancy colorway, just yeah, really subdued look, and kind of like a pro team edition also. It's something that they would run. Now, as I said, this is a complete bike, or at least it was supposed to be. I was a bit happy about that. I never really bought a complete bike, but recently I spent so much time in the workshop that I didn't mind just having a bike to set up and ride. Well, that's not the case at all, as you can see here. The only things that are attached are the pieces that take 3 minutes to attach. So that's the rear mech and the cranks and the bottom bracket. Now the thing is that I'm going to remove all of these anyway, because it comes with 170mm crank, with the 170mm cranks, which is fine for me on the road, but for TT I like to go 165, and I already have these prepared. And then it comes with the 48 tooth Aero baby ring from SRAM. It's with the power meter, but still not for time trial efficiency. For that I have something else prepared, namely this is a Quark Dub D0. It's a Quark Dub D0 with a standard 5x130 BCD, and on this I've been offered 58 tooth chainring from Pyramid Cycle Design. It's the same that I used on my track, and it's the same one I'm going to use here. So a proper time trialing front ring. So that's going to go on there. The ring is not here yet, but will be soon. Anyway, until then I will use the cranks from my Venge. Then the rear mech also will go off, and the rear mech with the oversized pulley wheel system will come on here again from the Venge, and the Venge will get something else later on. You will see. Yes, I already showed you the wheels. We have the roll disc. I have yet to unpack that. And then what do we have here? Bottom bracket. Now this bike, unlike many bikes released recently, comes with the classic BSA threaded bottom bracket, which is very nice indeed for a mechanic for sure. So what we have here, unfortunately for this price, that's a bit of a drawback, I think. So it's a standard SRAM dub bottom bracket. Normally you get ceramic speed bottom brackets with S-Works bikes, and this is the most expensive S-Works bike, barring the Creo Founders Edition, which you have there. So that's a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. But still, I have that pre-bought for the frame set, ceramic speed coated BSA bottom bracket. So that will go on there. Chain, it was also on, but I took that off already and put to preparation for waxing, of course. On there will go another wax chain. Then let's have a look at what you actually get with the frame. So we have a set of blips, a set of clicks, the blip box itself, and then we have the mount for the blip box. No, the blip box itself is actually in here. So I wonder what this is. I have to open that. Then we have the brakes. I can't see the levers though. No, the lever is there also. Okay, and then here we have the bigger parts. So these are the extension poles, pretty shallow, so I don't think I'm going to actually use these. Then we have the arm cups, which surprisingly are made of carbon fiber. That's good, because they're stiff, a lot of support. Then we have the handlebar and stem combo. Oh, a lot of stuff. Some bar tape, which I'm not going to use. Saddle, which I think I'm also not going to use. Then I have a seat post, a very long one, and I have the Shiv fit kit, much like the triathlon version of the Shiv, in fact, which I've also shown you earlier. Yeah. A lot of options there. A lot of options. Nice. A lot of hardware. A lot of stack options. Front mech mount. Some nuts and bolts. And washers. Okay, neat. Also included extension bridge. That's neat. Okay, here are the bigger parts. I think that's covered. .10-28 cassette for time trialing, flat to terrain. It's good. Normally I use 1033, but one of these will be nice to have around. Yeah, the obligatory reflectors. These will go nicely with my Rowell or Aerocoach disc wheels. Some small parts. Clamp for the extension, clamp for the seat post, stickers for the wheels, stop the valve rattling, which is not going to happen because it's going to be tubeless anyway. So yeah, stem cover, tubeless valves, rotor bolts, caliper bolts, yeah. And we have foam sleeve for the brake hose, rear, probably. Nice reflectors, never come in handy. And then this thingy. And then we have the manuals. I wonder if there's a full-on assembly manual, because there's none on the website. Yeah, and there's none here, so yeah, pretty secretive frame and bike this is. So back to the frame. Yeah, I'm going to strip that off, well, everything basically, and I don't really care, but everyone will be asking about the frame weight, so I'm going to weigh that in. Interesting thing, all the housing and cables and everything, of course it's electronic shifting compatible only, and hydraulic brakes. Unlike my previous track, there's no crazy hinge fork design, it's just a narrow top tube, or head tube, sorry, similar, very similar to the Venge in fact. And yeah, no cutting, no anything required, just one handlebar and stem option, so nothing to complicate there. It's a size small, maybe I could have gotten to extra small, but the geometry is almost exactly similar to the millimeter with the track, so I decided to go for the same size. So we'll see how it goes. Let's just build it up quickly, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to ride this beast. Okay, so here it is, ready and built up. By the time you're watching this, I probably have done my first ride on it as well, but more on that in a separate video. Now let's have a look at how the bike actually is like, what are my first impressions based on the build, etc. So first, a couple of words about the build kit. Obviously this came as a complete bike, but despite that I changed some of the components. The first thing I'm going to talk about are the extensions. Now these are very shallow, not really in line with the modern positions, so I'm going to change those most likely, but we'll see about that in aerodynamic testing. Then regarding the tires, I swapped the turbo cottons, which come with the wheels. Those are not tubeless ready, and I really like tubeless, so I put some Pro 1 TTs. But the Corsa Speed Generation 2 is still a faster tire, so for now these will be okay. For racing will be swapped to those. This is the Roval front wheel that comes with the bike, which I'm going to keep, but for flatter and less windy terrain I'm going to use the Aero Coach Titan, already set up in the Corsa Speed G2. This is pretty much the fastest possible front wheel combination we can get, so it's what I'm going to stick with. The rear wheel will stay basically the Roval 321, and maybe I'll have another option for training. Not because it's wrong to train on a disc wheel, but because if you have a fragile tire on there, you want something more robust and you want this tire to be fresh for the races. If you look at the wheels, you can see that I have installed Shimano Durace rotors instead of the SRAM ones. That's for a couple of reasons, and also applied some hacks to the brakes to really prevent rubbing in all scenarios, and to be able to use both wheels with the same settings at the caliper. But I will talk about that in a separate video because it's a more involved topic. Speaking of the brakes, do you need disc brakes on a time trial bike? No. People say that it's perfectly fine to stop with rim brakes, and that's true. You can also stop with your heels dragging on the ground if you were so inclined, but if you want the best performing bike, you need the best performing brakes. You want the best performing brakes, and that's why I have disc brakes on here. So it's not really about need, it's about the want. Same as you don't really need a bike like this to do a time trial. You can do it on a Walmart style bike, but we're doing things at a different level here. So anyway, the front end is a super clean setup, much cleaner than I had on my track, which I think is going to help with the overall CDA. As you can see, despite it being a small size frame, the seat tube is actually pretty long, probably because it's in line with the top of the stem on a regular bike. It would go like this, so I don't have much seat post extension. That was a problem because this bike comes with a longer 390mm seat post, despite the small size, and actually with the tall rails on the dash saddle I couldn't get my seat post low enough because, well, yeah, it was interfering here. So then I swapped over the seat post from the Venge because that had the 300mm seat post, but here it was too long again. So luckily, with a good friend of mine who just bought a Venge in size 56 from me, and I built it up for him, he had a 300mm seat post and we were able to just swap them over. So now I have the short ones in both bikes and I can adjust my saddle position on both bikes. So that was a bit of a complication. Luckily the seat post is exactly the same as on the Venge, otherwise I don't really know what I would have done. So anyway, I've solved that, and since this is a bike I'm going to keep for a couple of years, I also decided to go for a dash combo, seat post and saddle combo, which will be available later on, and it will, well, enable to have more seat post extension, which will help with the looks for sure, but it will save a good amount of weight. Talking about weight, this bike, as you can see it here, comes in at a rather ridiculous, wait for it, 7.6 kilograms. Complete with the pedals, with the bottle cage, with the Wahoo mount, and the heavy duty PCD chainring. And that's probably because the frame only weighs 1030 grams, which is probably lighter than most aero road bike frames, and yeah, I was pretty stunned by this value. It's a super light bike for time trials. Does that matter a lot? Well, it depends. It certainly doesn't hurt if there's no compromise in aerodynamics, which I imagine, seeing from a certain young Belgian gentleman's riding, doesn't seem to be the case. So yeah, extremely light. My trek frame weighed 1450 grams, so half a kilo almost heavier. And the complete bike, despite having disc brakes, so these brakes are not heavy, folks, 1.5 kilo less. 1.5 kilo, I'll repeat that. So no weight weanism here, but yeah, staggering. And of course, this chainring, super efficient, 58 tooth pyramid cycle design chainring, same as I used on my Trek, now with optimized tooth profiles, and fits with a round cutout for maximum aerodynamics on my Quark 165mm cranks. So super nice stuff, but this chainring is heavy, as I said. It's 300 grams for the chain only. If you really care about the weight, which, well, will be pointless because you save 3-4 watts by using this chainring compared to a small one. But anyway, if you stick to the integrated Quark power meter, that on complete with the chainring weighs 250 grams. So if you use that, this bike would weigh 7.3 kilos, which is, yeah, just mind-bending. Anyway, the front end, as I said, very clean setup. One thing that bothers me is, well, you get these tilt blocks underneath the arm caps, but these are a 10-degree ones, there is a 6-degree one. There's no 15-degree option to maximize the UCI limit. So I'll probably have those 3D printed because yeah, it's my preferred position. The arm caps themselves are hands down the best I've ever seen on a stock bike. They are carbon fiber and the padding in them is just amazing. It's tacky rubber with memory foam underneath, very stable, very pleasant to use. Actually, it might be better than all the aftermarket options as well. I just really like them. Very sharp band here for extra stability, very stiff, tall sides, really just excellent. One thing that is quite limiting with the fitting options here, as you have seen on the images, you get ton of stack options and all kinds of combinations, but actually the seat post, or sorry, the extension clamps are blind, so you can't really adjust. If you want a shorter position, you have to cut your extensions off, but it's a trade-off because this enables them, or enables you, to get a lower minimum stack, which in my case is really helpful because I'm small, let's face it. And yeah, if you imagine that the extension would have to fit underneath your arm cup, then yeah, it would have been that much taller. You can also notice that I haven't cabled up my extensions yet with the shifters. That's because I'm going to do aero testing this Monday, so it will be much easier to swap around And then when the position is finalized, then I will have them plugged in. The blip box is mounted here. I thought I'll be super clever and I will find some better solution for this, but unfortunately it doesn't fit either here or here inside the frame. Anyway, it's not too disturbing, and it's in a handy place. The whole bike build was extremely simple. Really, you just pull the brake hoses through the fork, the frame, you put them in here in the base bar, slide in without any routing tools, then just take the cables, plug them in. Everything is super simple on this bike, same as on the Venge. I really like that. Threaded bottom bracket also makes it super easy. Yeah, some people have also asked why did I go for 12 speed axis. It's not for the 12 speed really, and it's not because I want to show off, but people said that efficiency will suffer with 12 speed. Actually it won't, because the chain itself is quicker, it's more efficient. Of course, for racing I will have a ceramic speed UFO chain. I could make a very fast chain myself, but it requires a ton of work, so I just leave that to ceramic speed and buy a prepared chain ready made. For training I will use molten speed wax as always, so that's for the chain efficiency. Yeah, nowadays you can use big rings like this even with 12 speed. That's not a problem at all. Then people freak out about the 10-tooth cassette cog, and honestly they're talking like that, like they would be there all day. With a 52 chainring, not really, and the rest of the cassette is the same, so no efficiency losses there, and in some situations you will be happy to have the 10-tooth cog to shift down to, and fast descents 90 kilometers per hour. There you go. And then of course the ceramic speed oversized pulley wheel system at the back, so really efficiency is there, aerodynamics are there, lightweight is there. So yeah, I hope that the bike will really turn out to be a great one, and I think it has all the attributes to do so. Anyway, this is the bike that I've been waiting for a lot. Now I have it, I'm really happy about it. First ride impressions will follow soon, and then later on, maybe in a week or so, numbers from my aero tests, and yeah, I'll be happy to see how this bike performs in the velodrome. Okay, so that's all for today. It's been quite a lot, I have to admit, but it's a really interesting bike, and one that you will not find much information about on the internet. So if you're looking for buying this, then you'll probably find this useful. If you want to know more about its upcoming upgrades and testing, then don't forget to tune into the channel later on and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.